Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Come on, y'all, it's time.
Come on, let's go, let's go, let's do
Rolling on the road
with the doc,
rolling on the road,
with Dave,
rolling on the road.
with the doc.
100 shades of diversibility with Dave and Dr.
All
Parenting.
right,
I
all
heard
right,
you.
that was cool.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go.
That was
All
nice.
right.
We are so excited to have you here. If you are watching via GRTV 25, today is Tuesday and it is September 24th. Can you believe it? It is almost the end of the month, and September is National Suicide Prevention Month. And we're so excited to have Thresholds here. They provide adjacent to services. So we just want to make sure that everybody knows that we're just offering all of the resources that are available to you. They're going to tell you a little bit more about what it is they do specifically. But we got the shameless plug referral from Jason Lee, who was on our show last week, who had attempted suicide about 3 times. And he talked about the services that he received as he went through Pine Rest and a couple other places. And as he was going through and Network 180 and finding all of the resources, one of the resources that was given to him was Thresholds, because he does have um, a developmental disability. And they felt that coming to Thresholds would be a great pair. And so when I looked at everything that you did, I just thought it would be worthwhile for you guys to tell what it is that you do and how our community could benefit from Thresholds. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have Jackie Johnson, who is she's in charge. Uh, Here we go. We have Jason Lee is watching. So thank you, Jason, so much for introducing us to this guest that's on today. He is watching. And thank you to Felice Shannon, who is watching in Detroit, Michigan. So Detroit is in the house. Thank you so much. And up, clap on. Oh,
Lights went out.
I guess that wouldn't work for me because I only have one good hand. So this means, you're clapping hands in sign language. So I don't know if that would work or not. But Nick, Jason also talked about the avatar that he was able to receive that he really enjoys. So we're going to talk, Jackie's going to tell us what Threshold does and does not do and the services that they provide. And then Nick is going to talk to us about the avatar. So Jackie, take it away.
Well, thanks again for having us. I really appreciate it, Dr. Kimberly. I thought I would give you a little bit of history of Thresholds. Not a lot of people know that history, and I think it's really powerful when you look at where we've come from. So 50 years ago this year, Threshold started. And we started because of a movement throughout the treatment community called deinstitutionalization. It had actually started a few years before 1974, but it was a movement to bring people out of the large institutions and back into the community. It's actually the start of the community mental health movement. And there are community mental health organizations all throughout the country now because of that. So people with serious mental illnesses and more significant developmental disabilities, intellectual and developmental disabilities, had been in very large institutions. In our state, those institutions were in places like Traverse City and Coldwater and other places. And people lived there their entire lives. They often would be moved there as infants or young children. They didn't have a lot of family involvement. Families were encouraged to really kind of move on with their lives and let the institutions care for them. And thanks to President Johnson's administration, there were big changes that happened. And the biggest one that impacts us here at Thresholds was people began to move out of those institutions and into places in the community where they could live like everybody else in the community. So we answered that call in the early 70s, and our organization started by building 3 very large group homes here in Kent County. They originally were for 16 people to live coming from the institution, 16 adults, and then they would have a couple or a family as caregivers who also lived in an adjacent apartment. So that was how we started back in 1974, those 3 big group homes. If you fast forward over 50 years, a lot has happened. We've added a whole lot of group homes, not big ones like that. Our homes range anywhere from 4 people to, we still have the very large homes, although we only have about 10 or 12 at the most people living in those, to helping people live in the community. And the big movement since that point is we have discovered in our sector the abilities that people have who are living with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The shift in our thinking has really been remarkable. And I mean, not just thresholds, but our entire system. So back in the 70s and in the 60s and before that, we really focused on making up for the deficits, as we would see them, that people had, looking at their disabilities and how we would be able to come alongside and make up for those things and help them lead a more full life. But it was a real focus on what was lacking. And I believe what we've learned over the 50 years is people have a lot more abilities than disabilities. And disability is not who they are. They're a person living with a disability. And the disability may impact areas of function, but it isn't who they are. And they have lots of abilities that we can really get a hold of and help them maximize to lead their kind of lives that they really want to lead. And so our mission has really been then to help people lead the most meaningful and fulfilling lives they possibly can. So over the years, as I said, we grew in our group homes, but then we also grew because of our belief in people's abilities and how much they really can attain. We really grew in our community services. So over the years, what sprung up then was beliefs that we can help people with living on their own or living with roommates or with family members. Maybe they don't need to live in a home, the group homes like we have, where they're staffed 24 hours a day. Maybe they just need a little bit of help with budgeting or cooking or cleaning. So our services to people who live not in group homes, but really out in the community has really grown over the years. And that's been a super exciting part of our work because we really have been able to just help people really grow and thrive.
So you're saying that when people came out of those institutions, who did the assessments to see where they would go, and was their housing immediately available to them?
Well, I wasn't working in the system back then, but here's my interpretation of it.
Well, I know because you were only about 12 years old back in 1974, so I understand.
So we, the institutions were 24-hour, 7-day-a-week total care. So nobody really did an assessment and said, oh, well, do they really need that amount of care? So the community mental health movement was really to replicate the institutions in the community. So in the beginning, it was the same amount of care people were getting in the institutions. And people only moved out as these group homes were available. Early on, people weren't going from like a Traverse City State Hospital into an apartment. They were moving to group homes. And so then and deinstitutionalization continued up really through the 90s. We were continuing to move people out of these large homes until fairly recently, because it takes a long time. And a fair number of people in the institutions had many, many challenges to living outside the institution that it took us really a long time to, kind of figure out.
Are there any more institutions left?
Well, not like you would think. So not like, if you've been to Traverse City, you've probably seen the old Traverse City State Hospital. It's now kind of like an artist community, and there's a restaurant there and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So There are hospitals that sometimes people with a developmental disability need to go to because they're also having a psychiatric issue. But by and large, I mean, there are a few places that people might go longer term that's more like those bigger institutions. But typically, if you need that longer term care, you're going to be in this smaller group home setting like we have anywhere in the state.
Wow. Thank you so much for all the hearts and the likes that are going up. We greatly appreciate you. And we thank you for all of the platforms that you're watching on: YouTube, Facebook, on Rolling on the Road, on my personal page, on 100 Shades of Diversibility, on Dr. Kim for State Rep. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Greatly appreciate all of you for tuning in and watching, and for watching on LinkedIn. Oh my goodness. We appreciate you and all of your comments. We're trying to get to everything and get all the pieces. Now, one of the things that you do, Nick, is this avatar. What is this avatar about?
So the avatar, it looks a little something like this.
Oh.
So kind of in a nutshell, it is a fusion of healthcare professionals and AI that allows, kind of like Jackie was saying, people to have their best abilities, to go ahead and be as independent as possible, to live their best lives. But everybody kind of needs a little help sometimes. So this is something where individuals may have different services that they get, where they get assistance, but this goes into the home and is there 24/7, 365, and it's able to go ahead and help them in a variety of fashions. Each avatar is where it is gone ahead and personalized to each individual. So while it looks the same, the information and the programming behind it is all specific to an individual and their needs and their goals and what their interests are. And I'm the person that basically gets to hang out with this guy a lot and get it into other people's homes so that we are able to serve more people 24/7, 365.
Okay, so I'm in the building. I'm going to wheel my little cell phone down there. I'm going to become a client and I need the avatar. What happens first? What type of hardware do I need? Can I do it on my laptop, my cell phone? Do I need an iPhone? Do I need an iPad?
So you do not need any technology.
What?
I'm gonna back up. How about if I back up and tell her the background and then you talk about the technology itself? Is that okay, Nick?
Sounds good.
Okay. So if you're going to come to Thresholds, we serve people who have Medicaid and they are authorized by Network 180, which is Kent County's community mental health, as needing our services. So in order to get services through Thresholds, unless you are able to privately pay, that is the door you have to go through. So let's say you have.
All right, let's reiterate that.
Okay.
If you want to get to Thresholds, everybody who's watching, if you are in Michigan, because I realize that we do have viewers that are not in our state, you will need to go through Network 180. Now, is Thresholds, I see that you have GR, is Thresholds outside of Kent County or even outside of the state?
Excellent question. The largest mental health provider in Illinois is called Thresholds. Unfortunately, when Thresholds, this one, changed our name from Kent Client Services, we chose Thresholds in the 90s, early 90s, maybe late 80s, and didn't check to find out that the largest mental health provider in Illinois is named Thresholds. So we have the Thresholds GR just to distinguish us from that huge organization in Illinois. We are not a part of them.
And do they offer the same services?
No, they actually don't. They do
wow.
not serve people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. They serve other populations, children, people with mental illnesses, and people with substance use disorders.
But they are in the helping business.
Oh, they sure are. Oh,
Okay.
yes. Yep.
In the same
Yeah.
vein or with the same specificity.
Yeah. So, and we only serve people in Kent County.
Okay.
So if you are in Michigan and you have Medicaid and you need mental health treatment for what we would call a more severe disorder, more significant impairments, then you would go to your local community mental health. Every county has one to request to request services.
Okay. It is now 15 minutes after the hour, and we want to say thank you so much for tuning into Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly and Dave. Dave is on another assignment on today, and but we want to thank you for tuning in. If you are watching via GRTV 25, today is Tuesday, September 24th, and when you receive this information, it is relevant and it does not expire. The services for Threshold are ongoing and there is no expiration date. And if you are not in the state of Michigan and you are watching, please go to your community mental health hub in your county to help to access services. And if you are in a mental crisis, please dial 988. Again, that number is 988, and it is available nationally. So it doesn't matter which state you're in. Not sure for those who are outside of the country, we have about 10 countries that watch us, what your number is, but I am sure that you can, if you dial 911 or 211, that you should be able to receive some sort of services. If you are in mental health crisis, please again reach out. The number is 988 if you are in a mental crisis. I think this is so funny because I feel like I'm watching Ghostbusters, because it's like the lights start flickering a little bit and then you guys start flailing around. And
I
it's
know.
like,
Sorry. Yeah, there's nothing we can do about it. So, but
okay,
back to your
so if you are experiencing having a moment, if you are being triggered, please forgive us. Their lights automatically shut off. So what you're seeing is, yeah, it's not you, it's them.
It's us turning the lights back on. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll say if you wanted services from us, you'd get them from Network 180. And then Network 180 also pays for this avatar program if you qualify for certain services that I won't get into right now, but that's how that would be paid for through Network 180. However, I want to say that this company that has this avatar, it's called care.coach, and that is their website address as well. So it's CARE dot COACH. It's a California-based company, and anyone can get this avatar. You can rent it for yourself. It's not unaffordable. It's not terrible. So it doesn't have to go through the public mental health system wherever you are, and they are nationwide. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to let Nick then talk about the avatar itself.
And there you go. If you are watching
Thank
on
you.
My State House page, there you go. If you're watching on Rolling on the Road, there it is. If you are watching on Rolling on the Road on Facebook, and if you are watching Rolling on the Road on YouTube, and we have Shayna. Hey, Shayna. Shayna is tuning in all the way from Bel Air, Maryland. So, Shayna, we were talking about the Care Coach, that you can log on to care.coach. And Nick is going to talk about what that is, about this avatar that you can get.
So, like Jackie was saying, care.coach is the parent company that makes the avatar. They started in San Francisco and have kind of been in PACE programs throughout the country for a while now. But Thresholds is unique, and we are taking the device and helping serve the populations that we serve with this device. So this is new territory for us as well as care.coach in a lot of ways. But the device looks a little something like this. It's give or take the size of an iPad. And
there it is.
yep, there it is. So as I said before, each device is customizable to the individual who has it. So this is everything from things that they're working on. It could be triggers. It could be interests. It could be, hey, I really love David Bowie music. And it's really, the world is kind of the oyster when individuals get their avatar, because what we've noticed for all the individuals that we have the avatar in homes for, they use it similarly, but not everybody's using it for the same thing. Everybody has different things they're working on. There are a lot of people, what they really like and what is really unique about the avatar compared to like a Google Home or an iPad is that the avatar goes ahead and builds a relationship with you. So if you are going ahead and talking with your avatar about your day and you're saying, hey, I actually have to go right now, I have a doctor's appointment, you can go ahead, disengage with your avatar, come back later, and there's a pretty good chance that your avatar is going to go, how'd your doctor's appointment go? How's your day going? How are things going? And it builds that relationship with the individual. I'm the one who builds the profile for each individual at Thresholds, and that takes a lot of the stuff that I was previously talking about and gets it so it's unique to each individual. So whatever they're wanting to work on, whatever their interests are, how it can best serve them, we take that information so that when the avatar goes into the home, it's plug and play. It's ready to go. It's ready to help serve the individual, and they don't have to do really anything besides engage with the avatar. The interesting thing also is that this technology is all ready to go. The device comes with its own internet. It comes with all the information that we put in there to help the individual. And it also has a really expansive library of everything from recipes, exercises, music, games, various things that individuals might want to engage with the avatar with. So on my device, it's asleep right now, but you can see that it's a cat, and on the screen on the show, there's a dog. Each individual gets to choose, do I want my avatar to be a cat, a dog, or there is another dog? And then they can also choose, do I want it to be a boy, a girl? And they come with pre-programmed names, but if you're like, hey, I really want to name my avatar Nick because it's a fantastic name, they can do that. So it's really what is going to best serve the individual. And the overwhelming thing that we're seeing are everybody uses it differently, but the thing that keeps coming back is companionship, that the individuals have it as a companion that, like I said before, is available 24/7, 365. So they wake up at 4 a.m. on Christmas morning and they need somebody to talk to. Their avatar is there, and the avatar is powered by a team of healthcare professionals. So there is somebody on the other side able to make sure that this individual is okay, they're getting the assistance that they need, and also they're able to go ahead and build that relationship with the individual.
I would jump in there and say, we think that that is really the qualitative difference between somebody just using a Siri or just using AI and this technology. So because, you know, it's an avatar, it is largely powered by AI. It does use, you know, searching on the internet to answer questions. But whenever the user wakes up the screen, a camera comes on and there is a healthcare professional employed by Care.Coach monitoring. Now, it isn't one-to-one. There's a professional who's maybe monitoring 10 people, but there's always a human behind the camera making sure everything is okay and going well. And I think that for the people who use the avatar, then, even though they're talking to a cat or dog, they know they're really talking to a person. And so we're finding already, having only had this avatar for what, Nick, 8 or 9 months, we've been implementing it. People are finding reduced anxiety, reduced loneliness. They're able to manage fearful situations because even though they're interacting and talking with a screen, they know there's a human. There's a human behind there. It's really powerful. It's really powerful.
So an example I can speak to what Jackie just said is there is an individual who struggles in social situations and they have the avatar, and we had an event and we were expecting a great turnout. And this individual was like, you know what? I don't think I want to go to the event because there's going to be a lot of people and that freaks me out. So they were able to go ahead and wake up their avatar and talk with their avatar. And their avatar was able to lead them through calming techniques, through discussion. And by the time that our event rolled around, I had known that this individual was nervous because we had talked about it previously, but I would not have had any clue whatsoever that they were nervous in the least because they had gone ahead, talked through whatever thoughts they were having with the avatar, and were able to be like, all right, I'm ready for this situation. It may be a little scary, but I feel so much better. And then afterwards I can go home and the avatar checks in on them and it's, how did the event go? I want to know what happened. And so they have that relationship there, but also we're able to have that support before going into a situation that would have normally made them very uncomfortable.
Now, in theory, it sounds wonderful, but if you are suffering from paranoia, how does that work if you feel that every time you turn it on, there's somebody there who's quote unquote there, but watching or spying or able to, answer you if you need a person or you all of a sudden are in crisis? How do you bridge that gap?
Yeah, it's not appropriate for everyone, Dr. Kimberly. It's not. And there are many people who truly have paranoia for whom this would not work because they already, like you're saying, they have some beliefs about being watched and cameras and that sort of thing. Absolutely. So, yep, it's not for everybody.
But we also do want to make sure, because that whenever I show a device to anybody, they're like, okay, well, if somebody's there, what does that mean? Who are these people? And I can tell you with certainty that these individuals are very qualified individuals. They go through vigorous healthcare screening process. They have very diverse backgrounds in either mental health, social work, etc. And they go through a lot to be able to be that person on the back end, so that they are equipped to handle whatever may come up. They're going through continuous training. And it's also one of the features about the avatar is because it is a 365 24/7 device, not everybody works 365 24/7. But if you are going ahead and you're working and talking to somebody, you're not going to know that, hey, maybe I talked to somebody on the night shift, I talked to somebody in the day shift, I talked to the AI. The device and Care.Coach does a fantastic job of fusing all of that together. So when I'm talking to my avatar, I'm talking to my avatar. I'm not talking to a Care.Coach employee. I'm not talking to AI. I am talking to the same person every time, even though it may not be on the other end.
So they work very hard to have a consistent response and pattern and voice.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm looking at this, I'm going to do a station identification first, and then I'm going to come back to my question. It is now 29 minutes after the hour, and we want to say thank you so much to all of you who are tuning in on all 6 of our platforms, and those of you who will watch us on YouTube on the replay, or you will watch us on TV 25 on the replay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We could not continue to do this as we have for the last 4 years without your viewership. And we want to say thank you to Jason Lee, who was the person who did the shameless plug for Thresholds and said, hey, you need to have them on as a guest. And we want to say thank you. If you are experiencing a crisis, I ask you now to please dial 988. If you are in crisis, 988. Know that you're not alone. There is somebody who cares about what happens to you. And please know that your situation is temporary. So please do not make a permanent decision and have a permanent solution for something that is temporary. Because trust me, I have been there, and I am so glad that I failed miserably at my suicide attempt, because here I am. I would not be able to have the conversation with you. So trust me, you're talking to someone who actually knows what it's like to be on the other side, to think that there is absolutely no reason to live, that life will never be different. But trust, it will be, it shall be, it can be, but you got to do the work. Again, dial 988 if you are in crisis. If you are a veteran, dial 988 and then hit selection 1. Yes, yes, yes. I am a veteran. I have your 6. So please dial 988 and push selection 1 if you are a veteran. Today, we're talking to thresholds, and we're talking about this avatar. I have on the screen the website that you can go to, care.coach. And I have a picture of the little cute little puppy. If you like cats, they do have cats, and you can get a cat. And we're talking about the workings and the behind the scenes as it relates to the avatar. And I love it because one of the things that you said is that between the information that gets programmed in to know about me, to be able to converse with me, along with a person who's going to be on the other side, you said that it all kind of meshes together. So it seems as if I'm always talking to the same person, because I know someone who has, neural disabilities or cognitive, um, mental health issues. Consistency is so important. That's about probably number one, is consistency. So how are we guaranteed that consistency? We start talking a little bit about it before the station break, but can we go into that a little bit more, the consistency that you would receive if you had this avatar?
Do you want me to hit that one, Nick? Want me to answer that?
If you want, otherwise I can take it either way.
Take it away, Nick.
Okay, so in terms of consistency, like I had said, that they do a very good fusing of the AI, the human interaction, and I've spent a lot of time with this guy, and I can honestly say I don't know when I'm talking to one person versus when I'm talking to the AI or when I'm talking to a different person. It all blends very, very well. And with all the information that the avatar gathers, because once it goes into the home, we pre-program stuff and we get it as ready as possible for you. But just like any friendship, I'm going to meet you. And once we're actually together, hanging out, we're talking, we're going to build that relationship further. And we say it takes roughly 4 weeks for the avatar to really get to know the individual, for the individual to get and be comfortable with the avatar. But that consistency continues there. And it can be in, hey, we have an individual who right now who just really enjoys that their avatar is there and checks in on them. They want to make sure that I'm getting these check-ins and not planning on something going awry, but if there was, my avatar is going to call out for me if nobody else is home with me. So that's a big thing for them.
Okay, we've got lots of comments here. So Jason said that he was 2 times suicidal and he was at Forest View. Felice wants to know, is the avatar like AI or Chat GPT?
So it's more AI, it's not Chat GPT. And the AI is the backseat to the human interaction. So it is a fusion of the two, but the AI usually takes over when you don't necessarily need a human to tell you something like, okay, for instance, one of the features of the avatar is that it can play music for individuals. They don't need the person who is on their end going ahead and playing your Elvis Presley music for you. The AI takes over, will look up your song and play it for you. Now, if you're needing to switch something on the song, you need a different song, you want to ask it a question, you can go ahead and tell the avatar, and then the avatar will respond. And that's where I would say the person normally would take over is, okay, now we're having a conversation. We're not just throwing in some auto fillers or something like that. We're saying what works for each individual and having that conversation from there. The AI is the backup that kind of does those things that Care.Coach doesn't necessarily need a healthcare professional to do. For instance, if you are looking up a recipe, you have your recipe that's maybe this long, you're going to go ahead and have the AI take over, because the AI will go, you need 3 cups of sugar, 4 eggs, 5 cups of flour, and it will list that. But on their end, they have, like Jackie said, they're not just a 1-to-1 ratio. So they're also helping other individuals as well. So the AI can go ahead, read you that recipe, and they can maybe assist somebody else as need be.
Okay, we want to say thank you so much to Dr. Vertaji, who is watching out of Detroit, Michigan. We appreciate you tuning in. And she said this is a great show and great information. Oh my gosh, we've got lots of hearts and likes going up on the screen.
Woohoo.
Woo, boy, busy, trying to get it all in and get in all this great information. So in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, maybe this is something really great for veterans to have. What are your thoughts about that? Especially those that suffer from PTSD?
Mm-hmm. It's funny. We started down the road of getting this avatar because we thought it would be a way to help the people that we serve who live in the community gain more skills and independence, like learning budgeting, learning how to follow a recipe, learning, doing exercises, all those things. And yet we knew, based upon the experiences that Care.Coach has had in the 10 plus years they've been in business, it's like the biggest benefit has been what you're talking about, Dr. Kimberly, helping people cope with those emotional struggles that we have, the loneliness, the anxiety, the depression, perhaps PTSD. Now, I don't believe the avatar is set up to do like therapy for PTSD, but certainly people use it to practice. There's different names for it, but like 4-square breathing exercises, self-soothing exercises.
Yes.
One of the individuals that we serve who use it, we did not know this till that person got the avatar, but this particular person has so much trauma in their past that the person had tried to sleep with all the lights on, fans running, radios running, everything, needing all that noise to feel safe, to have that, and has been working on reducing that through calming techniques and breathing techniques through the avatar. So that's my really long-winded answer to your question. I think absolutely it could be helpful with veterans, especially if it were paired with some good mental health treatment. Yeah, that's great.
I also would say that most definitely I think it could be used in that capacity, but the avatar can be unique to each individual. So if there is something specific that somebody's working through or needs assistance with, that can be programmed into the avatar to help them. So if there's a specific calming technique somebody has that really works for them, say I get stressed out and I need to count to 10, the avatar sees you getting stressed out, it can say, hey, can you go ahead and remember to count to 10? It will give that advice, but also it will not give any healthcare advice unless the device has that information.
Well,
So,
I'm thinking like a couple of things. Another would be autistic children. I do have a friend and he's doing so well, but she counts for him. You
Mm.
know, okay, when I get to 5, or we're going to count to 10, and then we're going to move. Okay, you have 15 minutes. So I could see something like the avatar saying to him that he has 15 minutes to do this activity, and then he has to move to the next activity.
mhm.
I think that's very possible. And you know, sometimes people, especially children, really like to be able to talk to a screen and interact with a screen. I don't know how much children have used this technology, I do have to say. Couple other features I wanted to just let you know about. One is that it has what's called a video visits feature. Well, I'm going to back up and say this is not a device that you can use to surf the internet or do anything with. It's very, very locked down for this service and just a couple of other functions. But so it isn't like somebody's getting like an iPad and they can, you know, surf the web with it. But one of the features is called video visits, and you can send a link to people in whoever you want to, and then they could do a video call with you like a FaceTime. So you can control that as a user. You can also do video visits with up to 20 people on the same call. So you could do group meetings. You could do support groups. You could do therapy groups. You can do teaching and training groups. You know, these are things we've thought of doing. And then the other thing that a lot of programs that serve older adults, they're called PACE programs, use this technology. The local PACE program here, when we had the big shutdown early on in the pandemic, they put these in the hands of lots of people that they served because the people couldn't come to their programs anymore. And they began doing physical therapy work with them on the avatar. So doing classes and trainings, they reduced falls, you know, because falling among the elderly is a big risk, right? It's a risk factor for lots of stuff. They reduced falls among their population by 40% in the first like year or 18 months. Exactly. Like amazing. And that was just through programming these physical therapy exercises and classes on the avatar and then prompting people to do them. I want to throw one other thing in, and that is the reminders are a really great feature of this. So it can be programmed to wake you up at a certain time, remind you to take your meds, remind you to do your exercises, remind you to brush your teeth. We have one individual, it reminds him to take a shower and put on clean clothes before he goes somewhere. Things like that.
You know, what about then? I think my other school of thought would be for those who are going through grief. You know, just you have the loss of a loved one, especially those that were married or someone who's lost a child. And then they have this companion now, especially, you know, if you were married. And if you can name it after your spouse, you know, the spouse that died. And if that person helped you to do all of those things, then it would be like having this person. I guess I see so many uses for it that maybe that's not what it's necessarily used for, but could be.
Might be in the future. I don't really know. Yeah. It's pretty remarkable. So, and we're just really scratching the surface with it, you know. And I do want to go back to one thing you said though. It's, you know, about people who are paranoid, and I just want to add to that. There are people that will not be interested in this, won't want it for various reasons, and that's just fine. It doesn't fit for everybody. We really want to get it in the hands of people that it will really be helpful for, and just be a real support to them. But some people we've approached lots of people and they've said, nope, not for me. And that's fine.
It is now 44 minutes after the hour. Can you believe it? It's been almost 45 minutes already. And I love it because everybody says, do you want us to talk for a whole hour? Absolutely. But it goes by very quickly. And when you're passionate about what it is that you do, and it seems that you, Jackie, and Nick are extremely passionate about the work that you do at Thresholds. and the services that you're able to offer, that we could probably be here another hour or two just talking about it. But I want to say thank you to everyone, your questions, your comments, your concerns. And I'm trying to get to everybody, but I really want them to have the opportunity to share all the information. And if you will please notice on the bottom of the screen, their information has been scrolling. If you would like to read that, Nick, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Thresholds GR 616-774-0853, 160 68th Street Southwest, Grand Rapids, Michigan, 49548, Suite 130 in the SOMI campus.
And what are your hours, Jackie?
Our office is open 9 to 4, Monday through Friday.
And if
And
you
our
guys
website is thresholdsgr.org, by the way. So
she's just making me work today.
sorry.
And if you want to personally check out this avatar to see if it might work for you, it's right here on their care.coach.
Yep. And they have demonstrations on there. You can see some video testimonials and things like that. And you can get a hold of the company. Like I said, you can see, well, there's a button that says request a demo. So any people who might be interested in it just for themselves or a loved one, you can contact the company yourself. You can tell them we sent you, but you can do it on your own. You don't need us.
Alrighty. And here we go. Here's the website, thresholdgr.org.
Missing a D on there, Dr. Kimberly. So
All right.
thresholds. Yeah.
THRESHOLD
SGR.org. Yes, great. Thank you.
ORG.
Yep. I know you were talking while you were typing, so multitasking.
Where's my AI? Okay, here we go. So
There we go.
If you are watching via YouTube, there we are. If you're watching 100 Shades on YouTube, 100 Shades on Facebook, Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly and Dave. And if you're watching Dr. Kimberly for State House, there it is, thresholdsgr.org, where you can reach out to them, look at their services. If you have someone who needs the services, again, here is care.coach. If you are thinking about an avatar for yourself and you are currently not in the system or getting Medicaid and you just want to get it personally, we have it up right here. And it's so cute. Look at the little puppy. Who wouldn't want that cute little puppy to talk to them?
It's pretty great.
I think that it's really nice. Before we go, I know I asked all of these adjacent to type services, but as of right now, in this moment, September 24th, 2024, the avatar is to help whom?
So who are we working with? It's for people who have an intellectual or developmental disability, and they're authorized. Network 180 is paying for services for them to get help with learning skills toward independence. So these would be adults who have goals of learning, for example, budgeting or cooking skills or cleaning skills or how to navigate, social situations and those kinds of things. And so, there's a chronic throughout our sector, there's a chronic employment issue. And we have, like everybody else, it's very hard to hire employees and keep employees. There's just a big need. And so part of the goal of implementing this program was to provide supports to people that we just don't have the staff to supply and perhaps aren't necessary. So if the avatar can help walk someone through learning how to make a recipe, then we may not need to have a staff there doing it. If the avatar can prompt someone to take their medications, we may not need a person doing it. And then we can have staff who can be there when the person actually needs a human being there. So that was kind of the goal. of it. And so those are the people who currently qualify for it to be paid through community mental health, is people who have those kinds of goals.
Oh, wow. And then it sounds as if there's another tier of persons.
Well, there are, I guess I would say there are some people that their support needs really can't be met by the avatar. They really need people, there. So we have some like that as well. Our hope would be as people learn more skills, they won't need as much human support. Maybe the avatar can provide that. So we're really in the early stages. And like I said, what we're seeing is kind of what we had a gut sense about, which is that the avatar is helping with all kinds of emotional things. It's great that it's prompting them to take their medications and get up on time. But what's really helping people is they feel better. They feel calmer. They feel more secure. They feel less anxiety. They feel more confident. And I think that is going to translate to lots of different improvements in their lives over time. We're just so new at it. We're not seeing that yet. We need a little more time.
How long have you had this service available?
Just since January. And I don't know, Nick, when the first avatar got in somebody's hands, maybe in March?
I believe the first person got it early February.
Early February. So, what is that, 8 months?
Yep,
So,
9 months.
So we're seeing great things, but it is early.
Yeah, very early. 12
Yep.
hours.
And I can also just say, there is an individual who I talk with pretty much weekly that has the avatar, and they tell me every single time that they talk to me, well, I love them and they love me, and they really see
a happy family.
That's right.
pretty much. But she wants to let me know how much she loves her avatar and how much her avatar loves her, and that they've built that relationship, and it's helping with whatever they're going through and needing, and just being able to, because a lot of us, technology is ever expanding, but I don't look at my cell phone and go, wow, I really love my cell phone. So having that relationship, building those communication skills, building the socialization, helping whatever goals that are needed, it is just, we call it my buddy because that's exactly what it is. It's a buddy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a buddy. It's a friend.
Jason said that he has a podcast that's going to be on YouTube, and the avatar gave him ideas for the podcast.
Oh,
fantastic.
Very cool. That's great. That's wonderful.
Yes. Thank you, Jason, for sharing your experiences. We greatly appreciate it, and for the shameless plugs that you gave on last week.
Yeah.
Thresholds, and now they're here today talking about their services, and so we greatly appreciate them. And they are in the same building that I'm in, the Special Olympics Michigan, which is located at 160 68th Street. You cannot miss it. It is the old Christian high school. And you would not know it to see it in the state that it's in now. It's beautiful. They had the ribbon cutting on last Thursday, and it was, oh my gosh, I can't even put into words what it felt like when they lit the torch. I can only imagine when they're overseas and it's a Special Olympics and everybody's passing the torch and running to go and light the torch. It was phenomenal. And I very rarely am I without words. That left me speechless to watch that.
Yeah, it's a real honor to be part of this community. It really is. And we find that the collaboration efforts like this one here are just really remarkable. That those of us in the building, there's 10 nonprofits. We all serve people with different disabilities, and we work really great together. We collaborate really well together, and it's just been quite a synergy. So
yes. I enjoy the collaboration. On tomorrow, Be Nice will be on. So it's so nice. I just kind of like wheel around the building and I say, okay, you're going to be on the show. You're going to be on the show. You're going to be on the show. And everybody comes on and it's just phenomenal. And the information that we're able to get out about what it is that you do. I'm excited about Be Nice for tomorrow.
Great organization.
Yes, they will be here. And we're just going to keep on. And we're going to close it out on Friday with Dr. Carolyn King, who is a psychiatrist here in the city. And we're going to really get down into the nitty gritty of some of the things that she walks people through.
Well, I think it's interesting, Dr. Kimberly, that, you had us on because someone said it was about suicide prevention. And someone talked about this service and how that helped. And like you say, we're adjacent. I mean, we at Thresholds do not do mental health treatment in that way. We don't do suicide prevention. And yet, and we did not think when we started that the avatar would have any role in suicide prevention. But apparently it can. And so that's just a really wonderful thing for us to know, because we don't want people to have suicidal thoughts and attempts. And if this dog or cat, the avatar, can help with that, that's just awesome.
I mean, just when you said that the young lady who was one of the first ones to receive it, and she says, hey, I love my avatar and my avatar loves me. Some of the stories that we've heard this past month, there were people who did feel unloved. They didn't feel like they belonged. There wasn't a space. There wasn't someone who was listening to them, or those that they trusted violated that trust. So to have something that they can reach out to, and it's a part of them and they're a part of it, is. Because I mean, you stood flat-footed and I rose up in my wheelchair and looked at you in your eye and I said, yeah, trust me, we need all of the pieces. You may not be that particular piece, but you are a part of the puzzle, in what you do. So no, I would never send someone who was in crisis to, Thresholds. I would tell them, you need to go to Network 180. That's where you need to go. And then we'll talk about, going to Thresholds. But as you get further into your help, you're going to need Thresholds along the way. You're going to need it in your toolbox of being able to move forward. We all need to have that mental toolbox, especially, if you have a diss in front of your ability. Yeah, I'm just saying. So I want to say thank you so much for coming on, for sharing, for taking the time, and all the hearts, the likes, the comments. Could not get to all of them, but got to the main ones. I think that especially, with Jason sharing his story when he had his time on for that hour, and then being here to say, yep, these are the things that I've done with my avatar, has just helped so many. So many.
We'll probably look forward to helping a lot more. So
yeah, we'll never know the exact number. But as the Bible says, if it's just that one person, we've helped them all. Because you helped that one person who was able to come and tell everybody about the services that you provided for them. So we thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is just a comma. It is not a period. We will see you on tomorrow, same time, same station, and we will have Be Nice on. So we're excited as we continue the week. And remember that even though this is National Suicide Prevention Month, suicide does not stop just in September, that it continues on 7 days a week, 365 days. It's continual, ongoing. If you are in crisis, please dial 988. And if you are a veteran, dial 988 and then push the number 1. Know that you are loved, that you are cared for, and that we're here for you, and we'll see you on tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in to Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly and Dave.